For the year 2025, I read 38 out of 80 books. So I wanted to read 80 books because in the year 2024, I read 70 books. And I was like, in life, you go up, you don't go back. So I was like, since I read 70 books in the year 2024, this year, let me read 80 books. That's 2025. And guess what? This is I'm so embarrassed to admit that I read only 38 books. I was 40 books behind schedule. 14 of those were non-fiction books, while 24 of them were fiction books. If you ask me why I didn't read much this year, the reason why I didn't read much this year was because this year was short. Period. 2025 just ran like it was on adrenaline. I was just like, can you calm down? And the reason why I even read up to 38 books was because I carried books everywhere. Because I was constantly like going somewhere for events and stuff like that. So I had to carry books in the car. I say car. Yeah, they do car. Very soon, maybe. We'll soon start entering car. I was carrying books inside keke. I was reading inside keke wherever I was going to places. In my office, I was reading books. At the event, I was reading books. I was always carrying books around because I knew that if I didn't carry it around, when I came back home, I would be tired. And the first thing I would love to do to unwind is to watch something on YouTube. So booking was like, reading was like the, I would say last thing on my mind, but the second thing on my mind to use to unwind. And I knew if I kept that up, I wouldn't, read anything at all. So that is why I didn't read a lot of books this year. And I bought more books this year and I didn't read a lot. And another thing was that I started finding pleasure reading hard copy. So throughout my reading history, I always read it with my phone. I do soft copies a lot. I read less soft copy this year and focused more on hard copy. I think that's why I had a problem, because with my soft copy, like with my phone, I could read anywhere. But with my hard copy, I would just be like, oh my gosh, this person will not know that I'm reading. Does it look pretentious that I'm reading outside? At some point, I was like, damn everybody, I'm going to read whatever I want to read. But I read more hard copy last year. So I think that was also like one of the things that kind of like, because I was, changing reading habits. But this year we just entered 2026. One thing I want to do is I want to read more soft copy books because I want to read more and find pleasure in reading again. I still have pleasure in reading, but I want to, read more exciting books. I think I didn't read a lot of exciting books last year. So I want to read more exciting books. I didn't even download any book last year. On God, I didn't download any book last year. So I'm going to read the books that I have in 2026, read the books that I have on my phone. I read the books that I have bought, and I don't even know whether I want to put like in a certain amount of books that I can read. I don't know what I want to do. I want to do that. So, but if I'm going to give myself any benchmark, let's go to 50. Since I read 38 this year, that's 2025. Let's put it at 50. I'm going to update my Goodreads and put it at 50. Once people know that I am a big reader, one thing they always ask me is, how do you do it? How can I hone a reading habit? And honestly, it's one question that I haven't struggled to answer it, but I find that my answer will not apply to everyone. So I want to make a more informed answer. I enjoy reading because it's something I enjoy. I love to know. I love to hear people's stories. So for the person that doesn't understand why stories are important, how do I convince the person to read? So it's an answer that I really genuinely want to answer, and I hope I answer it very soon. Some of the books I enjoyed this year, I really enjoyed reading Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. Oh my God. Dan Brown is a beautiful author. Dan Brown is, sometimes he stretches his stories, but it all comes together beautifully. So the first book I read from Dan Brown is Da Vinci's Code. Then I read Digital Inferno. That's what it's called here. Digital Inferno. I think those are 2 books I've read from Dan Brown. Da Vinci Code is doing fair now. And then Angels and Demons. I've always seen Angels and Demons, but I haven't read it. So I went for this Kaduna buy and sell. Obviously happened in Kaduna. And my plug for books, one of my plug for books, Prime Bookstores, Amaka from Prime Bookstores, shout out to you. She was selling Angels and Demons and it was cheap. Of course, it's pre-loved. So she was selling it for 2.5. I said, I have 2.5. Give me the damn book. So I took it. I started reading it in the month of November. And when I finished it was December. That is too long for a psychological thriller. A thechinwendu. Once I start a psychological thriller, I stay until I finish. But this book, it took a while for me to get into it. But once I got into it, I was hooked. It's such a great book. I would recommend it to anybody that wants to read it. I think my favorite psychological thriller this year was Secrets to the Grave by Tammy Hogg. I hope that's how she pronounces her name, Tammy Hogg. Secrets to the Grave was a book gifted to me by Ibabuchi Tromparinze. It's such a beautiful book. Oh my God. It was the first book that ever made me say these words. Never judge a book by its cover. Because the cover is meh. But the story inside it, oh my God. It will whenever I was not reading that book, I was constantly thinking about it. So yeah, I'd recommend. I read Dream Count this year by my GOAT, my greatest of all time, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Definitely enjoyed it. I'm so happy I didn't read anybody's, thoughts on it before reading it, because people have people's thoughts on things are just what it is, their thoughts. I could see Chimamanda's thoughts reading this book. I could see where she was coming from writing the book. I could see where she was coming from. And that even made it more beautiful for me. I didn't like how it ended, but it was still okay. So yeah, Dream Count, definitely. I read Idolized by Mandisa. Loved it. Then a memoir I enjoyed reading this year was What Love Left Unfinished by Esther Okoro. Enjoyed it. I also enjoyed this memoir by Simone Biles called Courage to Soar. Perfectly You is also a memoir I enjoyed. I'm trying to remember the name of those journalists that wrote it. Mariana. She's from Venezuela, actually. But that book is beautiful. The cover of the book is so beautiful. Mariana Atencio. Yes, I enjoyed reading Perfectly You. And then Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. I started reading Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, and I must tell you that book helped me a lot this year. It changed my life in the year 2025. So, if you're a reader, what book did you read and what book did you enjoy in the year 2025? And as you're entering 2026, so what are the goals you have for reading? How many books do you want to read for the year? What kind of books do you want to read for the year? The kind of books I want to read this year is mostly psychological thrillers. I want to read a lot of psychological thrillers. I think I want to read a lot of horror too. Romantic comedies, obviously. I want to read a lot of good books. I am not one to select genres, to pick genres. I read everything. So I want to just read books that have good stories in them, and my benchmark is 50. So tell me yours, okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.